Hey, what's up guys, it's Kira and welcome back to my channel. So I've been a little bit MIA for the last couple of weeks. You can probably hear it in my voice, but I've been stuck in bed, feverish, just all kinds of ill for the last couple of weeks. And because of that, I haven't been into placement. I went to the doctors, had a full workup, they did bloods, and literally all they found was that I was anemic. So I'm thinking it's that deathly cold that everybody's got at the moment. Harry's had it, my family have had it, everybody I know has had it, so I assume that's what it is. And I'm starting to get over it, not 100%, but I just could not take any more time off placement. So today was my first day back. As you saw, I had simulation this morning, which was actually really good. I did want to mention this because previously when we've had sim, it's not been the greatest. Usually they put you in a room with like 15 other students and then they get one person or two people to volunteer to actually do the sim. And it's just not realistic at all because you've got an audience of like 10-15 other people watching you while you're doing the sim, and then that's the end of the session. So really only one person benefits from it, and even then it's not exactly the most authentic experience. But today was so much better. They put us into groups of 4 and we had 4 stations to work our way around, with each one having a different person as the lead. So we each got one station to lead and basically do the whole scenario ourselves. And it was great because you had one doctor per station. If you got stuck, you could ask them, you could ask the rest of your group, but for the most part you were taking charge, and it was really good. So that in itself was really good because that was way more realistic as to what we'd be doing when we're F1s. If we have an emergency situation, we will be the first on the scene to do our A to E assessment and to then hand over to our reg or our senior or whatever. So that was really, really helpful. And the other thing I wanted to mention was they really varied the presentations and the scenarios in itself. Usually they just give you sepsis and an MI, and that's pretty much all I've done in sim for the last 4 years. But they really mixed it up, which I loved. So there was one station where the patient was unconscious and you had to sort out their airway, so introducing the adjuncts, which was really good practice, and then go through the whole A to E assessment, figure out that he's actually in DKA, and then go off the management of DKA. And that was a really good station. We've never done that in sim before, so it's definitely a more realistic scenario as well. I feel like anybody could come in off the street and have DKA, and you know, you have to figure it out. So that was interesting. There was another one with high potassium levels and then going through the management of hyperkalemia, which was also really helpful. The station that I led was an elderly lady with pneumonia and secondary sepsis, which was probably one of the easier stations, but the more interesting part was discussing her management because she was quite elderly. She was like mid-90s or something. We discussed DNA CPRs, whether we would transfer her to ITU or if we want to talk about palliative measures and that kind of stuff. So it was all in all really good, probably the best simulation I've had in 5 years at Cardiff Uni. So that was great, and I've come back for lunch. I don't have anything else on my timetable this afternoon, so I'm going to stay home because I kind of want to ease myself back into placement. And that sim was actually in a different hospital to the hospital I'm usually at for placement, so I didn't really want to drive from one to the other and then back home and, you know, take myself in circles. So I've come back home. I actually just did a little bit of meal prepping because I've got so much to do this week. Obviously back into placement, also a lot of work to do that I haven't been able to do while I've been out sick. So I really just wanted to make sure that I'm prepared for this week as much as I can be and make my life easier for myself. So I just meal prepped a ton of veggies. I made this sort of like corn fillet casserole type thing. I don't really know what it is, but it's high in protein and lots of veggies, which is exactly what I need right now to fuel my body. And for the rest of the afternoon, I've just got a ton of work to do. I will pop my to-do list on the screen, but a basic rundown: I need to do chapter 8 of my PSA book. I'm making my way through that really nicely actually. I'm on track to have finished the book before my birthday, which is the 8th of November, so we're on track. I also want to go over some renal pathologies. This is really random and nothing to do with my placement at all, but whenever I do my practice questions in the morning, if a renal question comes up, I just have no idea what it's talking about. I don't know the difference between acute tubular necrosis and acute interstitial necrosis and rhabdomyolysis and all of that kind of stuff. So I want to just write some notes on that because that's how I learn, and then I'll have that to go back if I forget. I want to do my SJT practice questions. I also have to present a case next week, so I just want to write that out, make sure I've done everything that I need to for that so I'm prepared. And then a couple of admin-y bits like send off some forms, get some things signed off, and yeah, that is pretty much it. So I'm going to get started with my work and I'll update you later. But I think I actually got everything done that I wanted to, which feels so good, because they were all just jobs that I've been procrastinating on or hadn't gotten around to or felt too ill to do, and so it just feels like a weight lifted off my shoulders knowing that my whole to-do list has been ticked off. I can go into tomorrow with a fresh, clean slate and a clear mind, and that just feels really satisfying. But yeah, I'm sorry if this was a bit of a shorter video. It's a very typical day in the life of a fifth year medical student at the moment. It's all about finding a balance with everything in life in terms of going to placement, getting a hands-on experience, learning in a practical environment. I think because they treat you so much like F1s in fifth year, they let you write in the notes, write in the prescription charts, take bloods, do cannulas, all of that kind of stuff. It's easy to forget that you are still a student and you do still have a fair few exams to pass before you actually get to the doctor stage. So if you aren't really learning a lot on the ward, like maybe it's a couple of hours out of the ward round and the junior doctors are doing jobs that you can't do and there's nothing that you can really learn from, it's really good to know when to just step back and either go to the library or go home and get some theory work done, do some practice questions, prepare for actual written exams, because obviously those are important too. And I think over the past 4 years, that is what I've learned. It's all about prioritizing, and every day my priorities shift. So one day I might go into the ward and just stay there the whole day because I've got 6 things to sign off, but another day I might have a ton of theory that I want to go through, whether it's revising for the PSA like I did today, or writing notes on something that I don't really understand, or maybe it's something that we discussed on the ward the other day and I want to go over it. it's all about prioritizing and making sure that you're learning as much as possible in both a practical environment as well as, you know, in the safety of your own space or in the library or whatever, buried in a book. It's all about prioritization. It took me a really long time to learn that and to also not feel guilty. I used to feel really bad spending like half a day on the ward and then half a day in the library. It took me literally about 4 years to realize that I learn in lots of different ways. I learn with the hands-on practical experience, but I need to like consolidate that knowledge by writing notes, reading more about it, doing practice questions, and that's how I learn. So I'm not going to benefit to my full capacity if I do just stay on wards all day every day, and I think that's okay as long as you're not skiving off every single day and you never go in. I think it's really important to know what's best for you and how to balance it well, and obviously go to all your teachings, do all the things on your timetable. It can feel a bit overwhelming. It has taken me a really long time to learn how to find a balance between studying and placement and taking care of your mental health. If you're anything like me or you deal with mental illnesses, then you would get it. Sometimes you just wake up and you cannot physically get yourself out of bed, and that might be a day where you do just not go to placement and you take care of your mind, because it is really important. How much are you going to learn and absorb if you're not there mentally? So it's all about balance, and it's taken me, like I said, a long time to learn how to balance and juggle everything in my life, including, you know, all of the medicine stuff, but also my physical health, fitness, how I fuel my body. It's taken me a long time to learn that meal prepping is a really good idea, and also social life. It's really detrimental. I think everybody's learnt during this pandemic, but it's really detrimental to not talk to people for a long amount of time. So socializing is also an important thing that you need to incorporate into a routine. So every day is different, but my general routine is figuring out what I'm prioritizing each day and then putting that at the top of my to-do list, and that is my general routine in medical school. So it's not a routine at all, but that is the advice I have, is just figure out what your priorities are and go from there. So anyway, I'm gonna stop babbling. I'm probably gonna watch an episode of Grey's Anatomy and then go to bed. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please subscribe for more, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!